I was 47 when I fled Boston, my marriage a wreck smoldering in the rearview mirror. 2 mortgages, 3 affairs, hers, not mine, though I only knew about the last one when it ended. I packed a duffel, rented a car, and drove north, chasing the vague promise of a cabin in the Massachusetts wilderness where no one knew my name or the weight of my failures. October fog swallowed the forest road, thick as grief, and my GPS quit 20 miles back. Instinct and stubbornness, my old unreliable guides, kept me moving until I saw it. A mailbox, rusted and slanted, the name, Porkins, barely legible. The driveway was a tangle of brambles clawing at my car, but something else cut through the silence. Music, faint, Duke Ellington's Mood Indigo, drifting like a ghost through the haze. Every sensible part of me screamed to turn back, but the sound pulled me forward, a siren call in the gray. The house emerged from the fog, a Victorian ruin, 3 stories of sagging decay. Warped planks bordered the windows, peeling paint hung like dead skin, and the porch looked one storm from collapse. Yet the music grew clearer, joined by clinking glasses and low, warm laughter, the kind that follows too much whiskey. My headlights caught the front door, and there he stood, Mr. Cornelius Leroy Porkins, a vision of elegance against the rot. His charcoal suit was pristine, buttons gleaming, shoes reflecting my lights like mirrors. He was 60, maybe 70, but age only sharpened his presence, like a blade honed by time. His smile stretched wide, teeth impossibly white. "Lost soul on a foggy night," he said, voice like molasses over gravel, tale as old as time. He descended the porch with a grace that belied his years, hand outstretched. His grip was firm, too warm, like he'd held it to a flame. "Tom Morrison," I lied, testing the fake name I'd rehearsed. "Sorry to bother you, sir, but I'm looking for the Riverside Cabins." His laugh rolled like thunder. "Riverside Cabins? You missed that turn by 10 miles, friend. Fog's thick as thieves tonight, and these roads don't forgive the dark." His hand lingered on mine, gentle but unyielding. "Come in, have a drink, wait it out. I've got bourbon old enough to vote and stories older still." I should have said no, asked for directions, driven away. But the music wrapped around me, familiar, warm, and I was so damn tired of running, of Lee's cold eyes saying she never loved me, of the silence that had become my life. "One drink," I said. His smile widened, sharp and knowing. That's how the best stories begin. Inside, the house defied its exterior. Where I expected dust and ruin, I found opulence. Persian rugs on polished hardwood, a crackling fire in a marble hearth, walls lined with books and strange artifacts. A Victrola spun jazz in the corner, its brass horn glowing. "Make yourself comfortable," Porkins said, pointing to a leather armchair that seemed to wait for me. I sank into it, the leather groaning, and scanned the room to anchor myself. A clock on the mantel, ornate with lion heads, sat frozen at 2:13, its pendulum still. My mind drifted to Lee, our last fight, her slamming the door, her voice like a blade. I rubbed my face, trying to shake her ghost, when a creak snapped me back. A young woman stood in the doorway, her blue dress faded, hair pinned in a style from another era. Her eyes were glassy, her smile faint, distant. "Hello," I said, voice catching. She didn't respond, just tilted her head, listening to something I couldn't hear, then glided down the hall, her pale, bluish feet silent on the floorboards. The fire's warmth faded, and I shivered. Porkins returned, silent as smoke, carrying a crystal decanter and 2 tumblers. "Found my rogues gallery, he said, noticing my gaze on a photograph, men in fedoras, standing before this house when it was new, dated 1923. He was there, unchanged, same smile, same eyes. I wanted to ask how, but the question died as he poured bourbon, its amber glow catching the firelight. The smell, vanilla, oak, something primal, made my mouth water. "To new friends, Tom," he said, raising his glass. I echoed him, "Drink it." The bourbon was silk, then fire, complex, lingering. 1 sip became 3, his pores matching mine. "What's a man doing alone on these roads?" he asked, eyes boring into me. The drink loosened my tongue, or maybe it was his gaze. Running from a failed marriage, a failed career. Everything really. Failure, he mused, swirling his glass. A human concept, as if life's a test to pass or fail, not a story you tell until it ends. He leaned closer, firelight dancing in his eyes. Want a story, Tom? About failure, success, and their prices. I nodded, trapped by his voice. There was a man who wanted everything: love, wealth, power, immortality. He made bargains, traded things he shouldn't have, and got it all. He paused, letting silence fill the room, the fire popping, shadows writhing. Stories are only as true as their tellers. I've had liars here, bankers, politicians, priests, thinking they could outtalk the dark. But the dark's patient, Tom. It listens, remembers every word, every thought. I drank again, chasing the chill in my bones. What happened to them? His smile didn't waver. They're here, quieter now. Some nights, you hear them whispering, finishing their stories. This house is built on unfinished tales. Wind rattled the windows, and I swore I heard those whispers, low, pleading beneath the jazz. The woman in blue passed again, followed by a man in an oversized suit, eyes on the floor. The room pulsed with Porkins' words, shadows deepening. There's always a price, he continued. Immortality means watching everyone you love turn to dust. Power means hunger. Wealth means nothing when you can't spend it on what matters. So he built this house, where fog hides him from the world, and sometimes a lost soul wanders in. My glass was full again, though I didn't recall draining it. What happens to them? I whispered. They have a drink, hear a story, and choose. The room spun, or my mind did. The wallpaper twisted into faces, my father, disapproving, my boss, firing me, Lee, packing her suitcase. You're seeing them, aren't you, Thomas? Porkins said, voice soft as velvet. The ones who built you, broke you, left you. My tongue felt heavy, the chair stitching me into its seams. The only choice that matters, stay or go. Join the story or keep your own. I tried to stand, but my legs failed, the chair holding me like a lover. The man in the suit, Harold, Porkins called him, drifted closer, lips moving silently, warning or pleading. Came here in '79, Porkins said. Loved jazz, hated silence. Some can't stand being alone. Harold faded, and Porkins' voice softened. There are no cabins, Tom. Haven't been for 30 years. You knew deep down you were driving to nothing. His words hit like a fist. I'd known. No cabins, no plan, just escape from Lee, from failure, from 47 years of nothing. Here, there's company, purpose, a different story, he said, gesturing to photographs now crowding the walls, faces glazed with contentment. My guests, my family. They chose to stay. I pictured running, fog, dark roads, an empty life. Porkins poured again. Last chance. Stay, never alone. Leave, and silence swallows you. I knew my fear, not the dark, but the quiet of my own life. What are you? I managed. A man offering hospitality to the lost, he said, eyes glittering. The question is what you want to be. The fire flared, revealing the house's truth, walls like veils, shapes moving behind, the music not from the Victrola but deeper, older. Porkins was exactly as he appeared, and that terrified me most. One more drink, he said, filling my glass. Stay, join my story. Leave, return to nothing. Choose, because the fog's lifting, and the sun makes liars of us all. I thought of Lee, the empty apartment, the lost job. Then Porkins, eternal, offering something I craved. Tell me another story, I said, drinking. The bourbon was honey sweet, the room fading. His voice wove tales of others who'd sat here, traded sorrows for something vast. Eternity isn't living forever, he said, distant now. It's becoming part of something that does. The photographs multiplied, faces pressing closer, eyes shining with my own desperate hope. My memories, Lee, my father, my name, slipped away. Porkins stood, brushing his sleeves. You'll get used to it. Most do. Will it hurt? I asked, unsure if I spoke. It already has, he said, almost kind. This is relief. My reflection in the window was a mannequin, a fading story of a man lost in the fog, finding what he sought, peace. I joined the gallery, another photograph, fear dissolving into eternity's silence, never alone. But I was wrong. Something tethered me to the world. Trevor, my friend who showed up when life burned down, armed with a bad joke and a steady hand. I hadn't spoken to him since the divorce, but I'd left enough clues, an email, a text, for him to follow. That night, worried, he called my phone, got no answer, and drove north in his battered pickup. He found my car at Porkins' driveway, engine cold, keys in the ignition, duffel untouched, door ajar like I'd just stepped out. The fog muffled all but the faint jazz, pulling him toward the house. Any sane person would have run, but Trevor, who didn't believe in ghosts but believed in me, walked the crooked path, boots crunching, and pushed open the door. Inside, the air was thick with bourbon and smoke, the fire roaring, jazz crooning. Trevor called my name, voice steady despite the shadows dancing on the walls. No answer, just glimpses of figures, guess, maybe, slipping past. He moved deeper, finding a cold room lined with photographs, hundreds of faces staring out. His fingers shook as he found mine, my smile empty, eyes glassy. No way, he muttered, cursing. Looking for someone? Porkins appeared, suit immaculate, smile swallowing the light. Tom's here at peace. He chose like all my guests. Trevor's fists clenched. Where is he? Porkins glided closer. You could join him, but you can't save him. Nobody does. Trevor looked at my photo, something breaking in him. He's not done. Not with me around. The jazz faltered, shadows twisting with longing. Trevor stepped forward, unflinching. Let him go or take me instead. Porkins' mask slipped, something ancient glaring out. That's not the bargain. Trevor's jaw set. Then I'm changing your story. He grabbed my photograph, glass burning his hand, but he held on. The house howled, lights flickered, faces in frames screamed. Porkins lunged, but Trevor tore the photo free, crumpling it. The room shook, and I felt a cord snap inside me, tumbling through darkness, memories flashing, pain, laughter. I gasped, air choking me, Trevor shaking me awake. Tom, come on. The house buckled, walls collapsing, jazz warping into a dying wail. Trevor dragged me out, Porkins' furious howl behind us. We burst through the door into fog, the house sagging into the earth, lights dying. We ran to his truck, and when we looked back, it was gone, swallowed by the mist. Trevor clapped my shoulder, trembling. You owe me a hell of a drink, Morrison. Tears streamed down my face, the house fading like a dream. I never told anyone, not cops, not my therapist, not even Trevor, who deserved better. I said I got lost, wandered a cold night until he found me. The mind plays tricks, they say, and people believe what they must. But I know the truth. Trevor pulled me from eternity's grip, from a story that wasn't mine. I'm not alone anymore, not with him watching my back. The fog's lifted, but the silence lingers, and I'll carry that night forever, a photograph I'll never frame. The drive from Boston was a blur, my hands tight on the wheel, the road a lifeline out of a life that had crumbled. Lee's affairs, the mortgage weight, the job I lost when I stopped caring, it all pushed me north, toward a cabin I barely believed in. The fog that night was a wall, closing me in with my thoughts. Seeing that mailbox, Porkins, etched in rust, felt like fate, not chance. The music, the laughter, pulled me when I should have run. Porkins himself was a paradox, elegant in a decaying world, his warmth a trap. His house was a lie, hiding its truth behind rugs and firelight. The bourbon burned away my defenses, his stories weaving a net I didn't see until too late. The guests, Harold, the woman in blue, weren't people anymore, just echoes, trapped like I nearly was. Trevor's the only reason I'm here, writing this. His stubborn loyalty, his refusal to let me go, broke Porkins' spell. The house wasn't just a house, it was a collector, and Porkins its keeper, feeding on lost souls like me. I see it now, the photographs, the whispers, the bourbon's pull. It wasn't about immortality, It was about surrender. I almost gave in, but Trevor didn't. He changed the story, tore me out of it. The fog's gone, but the chill remains, and I'll never drive those roads again. Some silences are worse than others, and I've learned which one I can live with.